Hurting someone doesn't always involve shouting or fighting. Sometimes the deepest pain comes quietly, through a creeping sense of guilt. And the most powerful way to deal with someone who has wronged you isn't to destroy them yourself, but to make them slowly, quietly, destroy themselves from the inside. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He knew that truly powerful people don't chase revenge with anger or drama. They don't lash out, complain, or beg to be understood. Instead, they simply plant a seed of doubt in their opponent's mind, then calmly step away. Because guilt is the most untraceable tool in the game of control. You don't even have to be in the same room for it to work. All you need is patience, calm, and a deep understanding of how to gently shift how they see themselves, their past actions, and eventually their own sense of being right. Chapter 1. The Unplanted Seed, Denying Them a Reason. So how do you do it? How do you make someone feel guilty? Not by directly confronting them, but by using a powerful silence they can't ignore. It starts with this main idea. Guilt doesn't come from what they did. It comes from what they can't easily explain away. When someone hurts you, betrays you, lies to you, makes fun of you, or replaces you, they usually expect one of two reactions from you: anger. So they can say, well, I had to do it because they made me angry. Pain/sadness. So they can feel strong and important because they affected you. They want to see a clear emotional reaction from you because it protects their own ego. It tells them, I was important enough to upset them, but I also had to do this. I had no choice. The Machiavellian response is to give them neither. You don't react. You don't fight back. You don't even show that you're hurt. Instead, you create an empty space, a strange silence that doesn't match what they expected. This is where the guilt begins to grow. Because now, they have nothing to hold on to. No easy reasons. No clear story where they are the reasonable one, saying, I had to do it because you. And without that easy story, their mind starts to replay things. They start asking themselves, why didn't they say anything? Are they planning something? Do they know something I don't? Were they stronger than I thought? This creates a feeling of being unsteady in their own mind. And it only gets worse with time. Because the one thing people fear more than a fight is being forgotten, especially by someone they know they hurt. And that's your first powerful move. You don't punish them with anger. You punish them by making them feel unimportant. But this isn't about ignoring them out of childish spite. That's too emotional, too obvious. They'll just say you're too sensitive or dramatic. No, the silent way Machiavelli would recommend is different. It's more precise, like a gardener's careful touch. It works like this. You stop explaining. You stop reacting. You simply withdraw with quiet strength, not with bitterness. This is the key. Your silence must look planned and strong, not like it comes from pain. Because when they see you calm, steady, and unshaken, that's when their mind starts to struggle. They expected chaos. They got stillness. They expected drama. They got distance. They expected to feel superior, but now they feel like they're being watched, not literally, but psychologically. Because true silence carries power, and your silence clearly says, I saw what you did, I fully understood it, and I'm still not changing who I am. That is a devastating realization for them, and it leads to the next step. Their own story starts to fall apart. Most people who hurt you have already built a story in their mind that makes them seem like the good person. I had to leave. They were too much. I couldn't handle the bad energy. They were never going to change. These aren't true facts. They're just ways their mind protects itself. And those protections need your reaction to stay strong. But when you don't react, when you don't give them the mess they needed to justify the bad things they did, then their story breaks. They start to look back at what happened. They begin to doubt their own actions. And slowly the feeling of guilt creeps in, not because you said anything, but because your absence left them alone with their own thoughts. If you're finding value in this deep dive, take a moment to subscribe to the channel to continue your journey with us. Chapter 2. the thriving garden, your growth as their burden. This is where Machiavelli's brilliance truly shines. He knew that real power isn't about what you do, but about what you no longer need to do. You don't need to prove they were wrong. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to show them what they lost, because you've become undeniable, not by making noise, but by becoming simply out of their reach. And it only gets worse for them, because in your absence, they start to remember you differently. When someone hurts you and you get angry, they get to remember you as unstable, emotional, difficult. But when you calmly walk away with clear dignity, they will remember how you didn't beg, how you didn't fall apart, how you kept your strength even when they tried to take it away. This creates a painful conflict in their mind. If they were so calm and strong, why did I treat them so badly? And that question will stick with them. It will dig deeper as more time passes, especially when they compare you to other people in their life. When they realize that no one else has your calm, your strength, your depth. And now, every time they think of you, it's not with a feeling of winning. It's with tension, with discomfort, with guilt. Because you didn't collapse, you simply left with power. You let them walk through the door, they slammed in your face, only to find there was no one chasing them, no one crying, no one trying to prove anything, just silence. And in that silence, their own inner peace starts to rot away. This is the powerful start of a silent way to deal with wrongs, not to destroy them openly, but to change their own story. You let them sit alone inside their own thoughts until their excuses begin to fall apart. And when that happens, they won't know how to stop it because you never gave them a clear bad guy to blame. You only gave them one person to face, themselves. Guilt is strongest when you don't ask for it, but when it starts on its own. Not when you say you hurt me, but when they start wondering if they did, all by themselves. That's how you truly affect someone from the inside. You don't trap them, you don't accuse them, you don't chase after a final talk. You simply create the conditions for a slow, painful question to echo in their mind. What if I was the one who ruined something truly good? But this doesn't happen by chance. Machiavelli would tell you that guilt must be carefully planned, not with lies, but with smart silence, calm strength, and showing a clear difference between you and them. After you've left calmly, after you've exited with dignity and denied them your upset reaction, the next stage begins. It's called the contrast phase. This is when your absence begins to compete with what they have now. You don't post vague, sad messages. You don't hint at your pain. You don't make hidden references to them. You do the exact opposite. You appear better, calmer, more focused, completely untroubled. But, and this is the part most people miss, you don't look like you're trying to look better. You appear grounded, focused on real, important things. Not revenge. Not quickly moving on just to prove a point. Not loud celebrations. You don't look like you're winning. You look like you were never even affected by what they did. And this is powerful psychological warfare. Because now the person who hurt you has to face a disturbing truth. I hurt them, but they never fell apart. It's the opposite of what they expected. They expected a mess, they expected bitterness, they expected weakness. But all they see is silence, strength, and an unsettling calm. This huge difference starts to break their internal justifications. The excuses they told themselves start to feel empty. Their story begins to crumble. They start thinking things like, maybe I was wrong about them. Maybe I gave up too soon. Maybe they were the one person who truly understood me. And now the guilt begins to grow. But here's what Machiavelli would warn: don't get involved, let it grow. Because most people mess this up by coming back too early, by trying to check in, by posting something indirect to get attention, by trying to talk again because they want a final conversation. That's not power, that's just needing them, hidden in a clever way. Real power doesn't return. It becomes a constant, quiet presence in their thoughts. You become like a ghost that reminds them of their mistake. You remind them through your grace, through your refusal to speak badly of them, through the mystery of your peace. Chapter 3, the enduring bloom, your unspoken legacy. They might ask others about you, they might secretly check your online presence, they might look for clues in your words, and all they find is your absence. Or even worse, your stable happiness, which is unbearable to someone who thought they broke you. Because guilt needs a stark difference to truly take root. Without that difference, their bad actions still feel necessary. But with a clear difference, your visible growth, your dignity, your calm distance, the guilt grows much stronger. You don't become the villain in their story. You become the much better option they foolishly threw away. Machiavelli would tell you that guilt, once it starts, needs time and their own thoughts, not pressure from you. This means you must remain emotionally unreadable. No angry outbursts, no dramatic returns, no big talks to get a final conversation. You must let them sit with their memory of you, not the version you give them now, but the true person they betrayed. Let them remember how patient you were, how much you listened, how calm you were in difficult times, how much they felt seen, understood, and truly valued by you. Because memories are emotional, and over time, they won't remember the exact reasons they left. They'll remember how they felt when they were with you. And the more they think, the more one truth will deeply bother them. I treated someone truly good like an enemy. Now here's the Machiavellian twist. Guilt, when it fully takes hold, turns into self-punishment. You don't have to scold them, they'll do it to themselves. They'll find themselves comparing everyone new to you, hearing your calm voice in moments of doubt, wishing they'd acted differently, feeling that cold emptiness when their own pride fades and your quiet, strong presence remains. And just like that, your silent victory is complete without you lifting a finger. But here's what makes this more than just a game. You don't want them to come back. You want them to carry that guilt forever. Because Machiavelli didn't believe in taking people back after they'd betrayed you. He believed in keeping your advantage. And when someone feels they can come back, they no longer feel guilty. They feel hopeful, they feel relieved. So if they try to return, don't slam the door. That's loud, emotional, and too obvious. Just leave the door closed, with no reply, no explanation. Just the same calm distance you've always kept. That unsureness? That's the final blow. Because now they don't even get a clear no. They get confusion. They don't know how you feel. They don't know if you've moved on, or if you simply erased them from your life. They don't know if you ever even needed them in the first place. And that feeling of the unknown is the most painful mental state a person can be in. People can heal from fights. They rarely heal from silent, unanswered questions, especially when they know they caused them. You become a mirror they can't escape. And every time they look in it, they don't see you. They see their mistake. That's what Machiavelli would call perfect justice. Not through pain, but through quiet self-reflection turned into a never-ending consequence. The most powerful way to deal with someone who wronged you isn't to make them suffer. It comes from making them see themselves clearly, without you needing to say a word. Because silence, when used smartly, becomes a powerful mirror. And for the person who hurt you, that mirror doesn't show your pain. It shows their betrayal, their choices, their moral weaknesses, their growing inability to explain what they did to someone who never lost their calm. This is where the deep psychological effect truly begins. Growing stronger, the power of contrast. Because most people who hurt you aren't truly evil, they're just fragile. And fragile people tell themselves comforting stories to deal with what they've done. They blame you. They look for signs that prove their betrayal was justified. They need your failure to excuse their own weaknesses. But when you don't fail, when you thrive, when your good name carries more respect in your absence than theirs does in their presence, their comforting story falls apart. And guilt doesn't just enter, it makes itself at home. Machiavelli knew this. It's not enough to simply go silent. You must control what image of you survives in the minds of others. Because even though you're silent, they're not. People who betray often talk about it. They complain, they spread their own version of events, they try to get ahead of your story by creating one of their own. She was too emotional. He was never really there. They pushed me away. They're just bitter and will try to ruin me. These aren't true accusations. These are like shields, mental shields, to stop their own guilt from starting. But here's how you completely stop their story without even replying. You don't respond, you don't try to clarify, you don't show proof. You simply live your life in such a calm, strong way that it completely goes against their story, making it fall apart in the eyes of everyone watching. You never speak against them, you never correct what others think they heard, you just keep acting with dignity, quiet grace, and a collected presence. And over time, people start to notice. You're not the person they said you were. You're not broken, not messy, not dramatic. You're fine, too fine. So fine, it seems suspicious. And that difference forces everyone watching, and eventually the person who hurt you, to wonder, if they weren't who I said they were, then who was I for doing what I did? That's the seed of long-term guilt. And once that doubt is planted in other people's minds, it starts to echo inside the betrayer's mind even louder. Because now it's not just their own guilt. It's guilt reflected back by everyone who notices your calm strength. This is why Machiavelli favored being still over defending yourself. Because when someone wrongs you and you don't speak, the world assumes either you're guilty or you're so strong you don't need to defend yourself. And when your actions stay clear and strong, when you keep showing up as stable, authentic, and emotionally grounded, the second idea always wins. Guilt isn't just activated by silence alone. It's magnified when your silence is followed by your obvious growth. If you want someone to truly feel the weight of what they did to you, you don't hide, you evolve. But here's the key. You don't evolve loudly. You evolve quietly, in total harmony with your true self. This means your energy shifts from reacting to being calm. Your body language becomes cleaner, less scattered, more purposeful. You speak less, but when you do, your words are sharp and well-timed. You don't chase comfort. You embody being self-sufficient. In simple terms, you get in better shape, not to show off, but because you no longer accept weakness. You make your space, your social circle, your routines more refined. You stop being easily available to people who don't act with your level of respect. This creates one harsh truth in the mind of the person who wronged you. They didn't fall apart without me. They became even better, and that is exactly what guilt feeds on. Not your pain, but your powerful growth without them. Every new improvement in your life becomes a message, not spoken, but clearly seen. Every bit of peace you show says, you weren't the big problem, you were just a small, weak moment. And when they compare that to their own life, still full of noise, chaos, and shallow excitements, they start to notice. The person they abandoned is the person they should have grown with. The final act, the unforgettable void. Now comes the final twist Machiavelli would love. If at some point they try to come back, don't slam the door loudly. That just gives them drama, a clear end, and a sense of closure. And closure kills guilt. Instead, you greet them with calm neutrality. Not warmth, not cruelty, just an emotional weightlessness. You don't attack, you don't mention the past. You let them speak, explain, perform their reasons. And when they finish, you simply say something like, I appreciate you saying that. I'm truly at peace with everything now. That simple line ends everything. It tells them, you are not angry, you are not bitter, you are simply no longer available to be part of that old story. And nothing hurts more than knowing you're not even worth an explanation. You're not even allowed to make things right with them. Because what they broke wasn't just a relationship. It was the version of you that would have forgiven them. That version is gone now, and in its place stands someone calmer, quieter, sharper. Not because they were hurt, but because they refused to be humiliated twice. This is how Machiavellian justice works. Not with anger, not with drama, but with dignity that quietly crushes their ego. Because when someone wrongs you and you don't reply, when you move on without any sign of wanting revenge, when your life becomes quieter and yet somehow more powerful, you become the one thing every guilty person fears, a mirror that never speaks back. You hold up that silence until they finally say it, not to you, but to themselves. I broke something truly valuable, and I'll never be forgiven for it. And that is the justice. No big speech, no public revenge, just a lifetime of comparing their present to your past. You become the high standard, not the ex, not the former friend, not the one who got away. You become the inner goal they can never reach again. Every good moment they have will be tainted by the thought of how much better it felt with you. Every new connection haunted by the memory of the valuable one they ruined. And the worst part? They'll know they can't undo it. They'll know they had every chance. They'll know you weren't perfect, but you were honest, you were real, you were rare. And they let it rot away. This is the price they pay, not because you punished them, but because you didn't need to. Because when someone hurts you, and you turn away, not in anger but with quiet strength, and you never come back, you become unforgettable. Not through always being there, but through the profound empty space you left behind. And that empty space, that's your masterpiece. The path to this kind of profound self-protection, where your inner garden flourishes untouched and your adversaries unravel themselves, is a journey of quiet strength and strategic wisdom. If today's insights have resonated with your desire to truly reclaim your power, you're ready to cultivate this unseen influence. Here's how to ensure your transformation continues. Hit the like button if this deep dive into Machiavellian wisdom has helped you understand the power of strategic silence. Your support helps share these vital lessons. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Your journey to mastering unseen influence and protecting your true self begins now. I'll see you in the next build.